Darling. Darling. Pet, wake up. Finally. Darling, I could hear your whispers from my room. I know I have good hearing, but... Oh, shh. My darling, shh. Come here. Come to my arms. To my hold. You're safe here. It's all right. Won't you please tell me what happened, pet? A nightmare? No, darling, that's not silly at all. Nor is it stupid. Nightmares can be the most frightening of things. After all, what is more frightening than one's imagination? Do you want to talk about it? No? That's all right. You don't have to talk about it right now. I'm all ears if you change your mind. Of course, pet. You may ask whatever you wish of me. Stay with you tonight. Of course, darling. Whatever you wish. Move to one side, please, pet, and I will join you. Thank you, darling. Now, come here, darling. Let me wrap you up again. Oh, you're still shaking. Oh, darling. Shh, it's okay. I'm right here. I'm right here. Here, darling. Let me just adjust for a moment. There. Now that I have you all tucked up under one arm, take my free hand. Yes, just like that. Place your fingers between mine. Can you feel that? Can you feel my palm beneath yours? That is me. That is real. That's me holding on to you, keeping you safe, keeping you grounded. The nightmares are not real. They cannot harm you. Not while I'm here. They are just cruel tricks that your mind plays, darling. I'm here for you. If my sleeping with you in your bed while you drift back to sleep, well, if it helps, then that is what we will do. If you would like, that is. Of course. Another request? Of course, darling. Oh, pet. Of course. If my stroking your hair will help, then by all means, let me just adjust you a tiny bit. I don't wish to let go of your hand after all, not when it's so warm against mine. There. That's better. Now. How is that, darling? Good. Of course, darling. whatever you wish tonight. A kiss? Of course, darling. Oh, yes, of course. I should not forget to keep stroking your hair. Of course, darling, if it helps. A story? I do not have a story to read. You overestimate my creativity, pet. Well, yes, that is true. I have read lots in my time. I suppose I have one or two of my favorites memorized, but they are far more simple and perhaps a little childish than what you might think from me. That's what you wish of me, darling. Of course. Let me see if I can remember. Oh, I suppose I do remember one, though, like I said, it is perhaps slightly childish of me. I'll admit that in the past, and, well, perhaps into the present as well, I have been obsessed with the Fae, and the fairies in particular. Oh yes, darling, quite real. As real as I am. Fairies are as real and as alive as I am, and though they are perhaps painted in a much more pleasant light than us vampires, though I will admit I am somewhat of a oddity amongst my kind. If you wish me to recite the story, I shall. Once upon a time, two rabbits, Bobtail and Fluffkin, went to visit their granny in her burrow on the other side of the forest. After a delicious afternoon tea, she kissed them goodbye and told them to hurry home before nightfall. But the two rabbits lost their way. As it began to grow dark, they heard the bark of a fox growing nearer and nearer. As the fox's call became louder, Fluffkin began to tremble so much that she made the bluebells in the forest tinkle like little bells. "Did you call me, little bunnies?" spoke a soft, musical voice. Then a beautiful blue fairy appeared before them, holding a sparkling wand in her hand. They told her that they were lost and frightened of the fox. "Don't be afraid," she said. "I'll use my magic to send the fox far away over the hills, and I will light my bluebell lamps to show you the way home." "Oh, thank you, kind fairy," chorused the little rabbits. Off they ran, their fears forgotten, along the path towards home. The fairy's comforting bluebell lamps lit up just ahead of them all the way home. How glad they were to see their parents waiting for them on their own front door. Don't laugh, pet. Yes, I told you it was childish. Must I be mature all the time? I can indulge a little sometimes, can't I? A couple of flaws here and there certainly can't hurt, right? Another? Darling, are you just indulging me? Or perhaps it is more that you are so fascinated with my voice that it puts you to sleep, just me talking about whatever it may be. If you wish for another, I can... Yes, I do think I have another memorized. Oh, yes, of course, darling. I won't forget to continue stroking your hair. It was the day before the Fairyland Flower Festival, and all the fairy folk were out in the fields picking flowers to make garlands. Netta took her baby brother Elfrin. She tucked him up in a mossy bed under a shady fern and said she'd come back to fetch him at dinner time. Elfrin heard a chirping sound and looked up to see a baby bluebird at the edge of its nest in a tree above. Then the bird fell from the nest and, flapping wildly, landed on the soft moss in front of him. Elfrin tucked the little bird up in his own mossy bed and told it to go to sleep. Then he climbed to the tree. When he saw the soft, downy nest, he suddenly felt drowsy, so he clambered in and was soon sound asleep. Imagine Netta's surprise when she returned to find a baby bird instead of her brother. Then she heard a commotion above. Mr. and Mrs. Bluebird had discovered Elfrin in their nest. Netta flew up to the tree and told them where their baby was. Then she said to Elfrin, "I don't know what on earth you're doing up here, but it is time to go home and have some dinner. Unless you'd rather stay here and have earthworms, like the Bluebird family." Darling, I just think you're indulging me at this point. You do look awfully drowsy, though. I suppose I can think of one more. Yes, these were stories that were read to me when I was, well, let's just say it was a very long time ago. I have even read these stories to some young ones of my own. Let's not get into that now. I have one more little story to tell you before it is time for you to sleep. Well, it's more of a poem, really. It is just slightly corny, perhaps, but it is something I appreciate nonetheless. Do try not to judge me too harshly, darling. Believe in the fairies that make dreams come true. Believe in the wonder of the stars and the moon. Believe in the magic from fairies above. They dance on the flowers and sing songs of love. And if you just believe and always stay true, the fairies will be there to watch over you. Oh goodness. I suppose it is not a fairy watching over you this time. Perhaps not at any time either, if I may be a little selfish. I think it is time for you to drift off to sleep, darling. You are looking awfully drowsy and it is rather late. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. I will stay here, and I will keep you company as you sleep. And if you should wake again, I will still be here to comfort you if you need it. Of course. Good night, darling.